the lunar ice rink would still be floating in space when these three galaxies combine. I think it's
Across all express.
What? Stop! What?
Do you think we're gonna go back to the moon and Mars and stuff? But when we get there, just put a little hockey rink out there. I mean, it's freezing in space, right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
No refrigeration is necessary. No refrigeration. Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine blue line blast just flying off into the nether regions of space, eventually puncturing an alien spacecraft. They track it down. They want revenge. They fly to the moon. They drop off. We get a little tussle, line brawl, Brahmas, aliens. Who doesn't want that?
Well,
Gloves off. 3, 2. Welcome to Gloves Off. It's been a hot minute since we've had an episode. We've been busy winning up until recently. So now we're in off-season mode. You get my mug again. Gloves Off. Today we have a very special guest. You've seen him on Netflix with the Crime and Penalties Untold story, the story of the Danbury Trashers. Please welcome the one and only AJ Galante. AJ, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Chad, thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
So there's a couple things that tie into the whole Netflix show, and I don't want to, bog on that too much, but you had one of our players, Luke Sellers, played for us after.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He was a tough guy, and he was one of the Brahmas famously involved in a pregame brawl during warm-ups.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely sounds like a tractor for sure.
We had all hell break loose against a close rival during pregame warmups, and he was certainly front and center in the action.
Yeah, Luke was defenseman, if I remember correctly. I believe. Was he a defenseman?
I believe so. It's been a while.
Was he? Yeah. It's been 18 years, but I want to say he was a defenseman. But yeah, I remember. I remember he was. He definitely was a spitfire for us as well, and he didn't really have to do much in that department. We just seemed to have a surplus of guys that would be willing to fight. So he was able to kind of save his hands a little bit. So he didn't have to do too much with us, which I guess was good for him.
Yeah, our head coach Dan Walfong, I believe, we were talking about this right after the show came out. He fought Brad Wingfield.
Oh boy. You wouldn't forget that, I'm sure. Yeah.
He had a story, and I wish he was here to tell it, but something about Wingfield went on the bus that Dan's team was on. Was looking for him after the game. It's
sounds about right. That definitely sounds sounds like the right pattern of behavior for sure.
Well, what have you been doing since the days of the Trashers? I know you're involved in boxing. Tell us, catch us up a little bit here.
Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately, we lost a team in 2006, and I was so young. I still had 2 more years of college, so I basically finished college and went to work for an oil company actually, and did a little bit of that out there, and kind of just regular day-to-day type of life, and kind of randomly got myself, I don't know how I find myself in these positions, but I randomly found myself, got myself involved with professional boxing and over 10 years ago, 2011, started helping a local fighter here in Danbury. He was a veteran fighter at the time, but needed some, managerial help, and I have an obsessive personality. So what ends up happening is I end up getting in, and next thing you know it, you want to manage another fighter, and then you're managing 3 fighters, and then you want to start a gym. So I've been in, boxing now 11 years. I'm currently in my boxing gym here at Champs Boxing Club in Danbury, and do a lot with kids, amateur fighters, professional fighters. I've promoted shows before, so definitely an interesting world boxing is. But and then since the Netflix documentary came out, kind of turned everything upside down, and kind of halfway back into the hockey world, I guess you can say. And now, doing my part in creating this sport of Ice Wars, which is kind of like a mashup of everything I've loved in life, all mixed together into one thing.
Yeah, like Ice Wars, it's interesting. And I'd love to get your take on this. Over the years, since the Danbury days, I feel like the art of enforcing and the art of fighting, it's slowly, trending down. Leagues are trying to take it out. We haven't had that many great tilts out here this year. It's just something that gets clamped down on. But on the opposite side of the coin, the world of MMA fighting is like going up, and that's like a huge thing. So you're bringing those two worlds together with Ice Wars, which is tell us about Ice Wars. I'm fired up about this. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. Like you said, I mean, one thing I've learned the past 10, 11 years in boxing is, the combat sport market is exploding, like you said. I mean, whether it's boxing, boxing may not be what it was back in the old days, but it's still, I mean, guys are making millions. I mean, you got boxing, MMA, kickboxing, combat sports as a whole has just grown. So when this opportunity came about to get involved and create this new sport, it's basically a sport. Obviously, it's hockey fighters right now, hockey fights, but it's not hockey, right? So we're kind of marketing it as prize fighting on ice. And, you're right. It's kind of lost upon the game of hockey, where this all originated from. And it's kind of like, finding a niche, like, okay, well, there's not a place for it in this sport. Let's just create a whole nother sport where that's the focal point. You know what I mean? So it's been a wild ride so far. And it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
It's hockey without sticks and pucks, basically.
Hey, listen, you know what? It's full hockey gear, helmets down to skates, and they do wear MMA style gloves. So they are 4-ounce gloves. Yeah. Which technically is more protective than a traditional hockey fight, which is bare knuckle, obviously. Yeah. So it's a wild invention, creation here. It's going to be a lot of fun. And listen, it fits a niche. I think there's people in the combat sport world that are super excited about something different. Like you said, there's fans of the sport of hockey that maybe such as yourself and me that kind of miss that aspect of hockey. Now we have it here. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. We highlight it. That's our thing. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be historic, and I think slowly but surely it's gonna catch a lot of momentum.
So this is you got several people on your team, and one of them, Charlie. Now he was involved before, I believe, when it was it Battle of the Enforcers? Was that what it was? Yep. Back in the mid-aughts?
Back in 2006, Battle of the Hockey Enforcers. Yep.
And to tie it back into the Brahmas hockey world, one of our back in the day, we always had that guy, right? That Luke Sellers, that guy who's this, and Mike Scroy was one of them that we had.
Yeah, big boy.
Yeah, big boy, big Scroy. He's a guy that you would never want to mess with. Even if I was armed, I wouldn't want to mess with that guy.
Yeah,
he fought in the original Battle of the Enforcers, which was, you can see clips of it on YouTube if you're curious out there what this is all about. But like you said, it's not a ring; it's on ice, basically the neutral zone, right? That's about the size of it.
Yeah, so basically, it's about the fighting surface is around 900 square feet, I guess. So in comparison, it's bigger than a boxing ring. It's bigger than a UFC cage by a little bit. So it's a good sized surface where, you can move, but at the same time, it's not the whole sheet of ice where, guys could run if they wanted to, you know what I mean? But yeah, Mike Segura, I remember him vividly from back in the old days, definitely a legend in, that the world of minor league hockey for sure. So yeah, he was definitely a problem to deal with for sure.
He was a problem when he sat at the end of the bench, and when it was his time to go, somebody's head was going to roll. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was definitely a fan favorite. And question about the Ice Wars. So how does the scoring work? How do you determine a winner? You got a referee, you got judges. Is it like boxing?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like boxing. So each bout is 2 1-minute rounds with a 1-minute break in between. We do have, a referee on the ice. There is, believe it or not, a scoring system, kind of like a 10-9 must system in boxing.
Okay.
There are point deductions for knockdowns. A referee will, determine whether it's a slip, a knockdown, a lot like boxing. 3 judges, ways you could win, just like boxing. You got knockouts, referee stoppage, TKO, lose on points, disqualification if it came down to it. So very much like the traditional, prize fight. And there will never be a draw. And what I like about it is because it's 2 1-minute rounds, if it goes a distance, because there's only 2 rounds, there could be a possibility of a draw. If it's deemed a draw after 2 rounds, it goes to an immediate, kind of a sudden death, 30-second icebreaker round. So
Nice.
One thing about boxing, I hate draws. I think it's stupid. There should never be a draw, in my opinion. So we'll never have a draw in Ice Wars, thankfully.
That's awesome. And you're getting players. I mean, like you said, right now it's hockey players. Who knows? Maybe there's a boxer out there who can learn to keep on his feet.
Oh, let me tell you, I got boxers as we speak out of my gym, like buying used skates to learn how to skate. I mean, but it's crazy, Chad. I never really truly realized, legitimately, there's a few people I know off the top of my head who are professional boxers or even MMA fighters that played hockey growing up. So there are guys that can skate, can fight, and don't be surprised in our next Ice Wars if there's a combat sport division or you got 2 guys from maybe a boxer versus an MMA guy in Ice Wars. There's a very strong possibility.
I dig it. But Mike Scroy was one of those guys. He was an MMA guy, and I think after he retired from hockey, he had a gym down there in Florida. He's a Muay Thai guy. So yeah, it happens now.
No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, combat sports. I mean, the people involved with combat sports seem to be involved with all combat sports. You know what I mean? Guys love to box. Guys love, jujitsu, stuff like that. So, it's one of those things where whether people want to admit it or not, we all are fighting something. We all have that fighting spirit. Some guys are able to take the fighting spirit and you literally fight physically, So there's definitely our love for conflict in life. I mean, there's people that watch NASCAR just for the crashes. You know what I'm saying? So,
100%.
There's people that like to troll on social media and start arguments. So everyone seems to be attracted in one form or another to conflict. And Ice Wars is just another form of that.
So on your list of people you're working with here that's helping put this on, one name that popped out to me, I'm like, how the hell did AJ get connected with this guy? Obviously, Cato Kalin. How did you get hooked up with Cato? Just seems so out of left field.
I know it is. Well, listen, our sport is all out of left field, so he fits right in. And you know what? He's been a dear friend of Charlie Nama, our partner, one of the owners of Ice Wars. And listen, you know what? We have an open door policy. If someone's interested in being involved with us and believe in this from the start, we put our arms around people. And Cato has been a huge help to us. I mean, I'm 36. I'm almost 36, so I didn't really know who Cato was until I started learning. And you're talking about one of the most famous people not that long ago. And he just loves this. He's been believing in this from day one and been a real big ambassador for us.
That's awesome. And you got your first fight coming up May 21st, right?
Yeah, this Saturday. Crazy. It just popped up on us. Yep.
And this is people can watch on pay-per-view. How can they check this out?
So we're streaming with the network called Fight, FITE TV. So basically it's a pay-per-view streaming service. It's $20. Basically wherever you get your apps, smartphone, a smart TV, your Xbox, PlayStation, wherever you get any sort of application for your smart device, you will be able to get Fight, FITE. It's $20. They're very, Fight usually doesn't get involved with like first time events, and for them to want to be involved with us kind of gave us a vote of confidence and really brings us a lot of credibility to have them attached to us. And they they do all the big sports, and we're really excited to work with them.
Well, that's awesome. And this is taking place north of the border in the Edmonton area, right? In Alberta?
That's correct. Oh, in the River Creek Casino out there in Edmonton. I can't really get a feel for it. Some people say it's going to be freezing. Some people say it's going to be warm. So I don't know what to expect. It'll be my first time in Canada. So we'll see how it goes.
You'll be fine. It won't be that bad. Now go back in February and that's a different story.
Oh, yeah.
And the plan is to grow Ice Wars nationwide, worldwide, like take a show on the road, or is that kind of your vision?
100%. Yeah. I mean, listen, we don't really technically have a home base. So really we'd like to tour around as much as we can and go places. I mean, obviously, I'd love to get to the States, soon, and, great state of Texas, get some of that barbecue again, maybe, we'll see how it goes. You bring the fight to this barn and we'll get some barbecue for you for sure. Oh, absolutely. I know that. Listen, that type of rink is what we're all about. We don't need to go into these huge arenas. We like intimate settings and kind of that old Trasher feel, the old minor league rinks, and that's what we're all about.
Well, it is Fight TV, Saturday the 21st. I'm sure if you miss it, the world will be lit up on social media about this. This is I feel like it's like the launch of UFC all over again, because
it's got that feel for it. And it's funny you say that, because one of the gentlemen I work with at Fight TV was involved with UFC in the infant stages. And he told me, he's like, I can't guarantee it's going to grow to this, but this has a lot of that feel when UFC put their first event up, and it's got the same vibe for him. So hopefully we could be half as successful. But again, we're looking to just, take it slow, take it day by day, and create something special.
Well, that's awesome. I know I'll be tuned in, and hopefully all the Brahma fans. Sadly, we don't have any Brahma games left to watch, so why not support AJ and
hey, listen, take your frustrations out watching a couple guys. We might have a couple knockouts, and you know what? We'd love to have all the Brahma fans out there and players. You gotta check it out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's some of them they're gonna watch and say, I could do that.
Hey, and we got a couple young guys in there. You might, it's a good scouting opportunity. You never know. I mean, these guys could become, like wrestling characters, big promotion, sign them to a weekend contract and watch them go.
Listen, there's one good thing is that I'm not in charge of signing players. I just do the business end of things, because everybody on our team will be in Neanderthal. And we would probably not win.
Whatever it takes. So, it could work. If it's done the right way, it'll work.
Well, AJ, I appreciate your time today. I know you're busy. You got to get geared up for this thing this weekend. So we thank you, and man, best of luck. And you got a home here. Whenever you're in Texas, let me know.
Definitely, Chad. Thank you guys so much.
All right, buddy. Be good.
You too, buddy.
And Brahmas.
Seacord's got to take off his helmet, doesn't he?
Secord. Oh, he caught him. They're both sitting there. I think, Secord with the left. Now Brahmas has him. Oh, hook after hook. Now Secord's helmet's off, and he's coming back. He's got Brahmas stumbling. Brahmas with the left hook. Secord coming back with the left. They're going and going. They're going to have to break it up. No one's going to give up here. Secord. He's still going, and now down to the ice.
I think that might have been one of the best fights we've seen at the shoebox in a long time there, Dustin.
Oh.
And what? Did they start this?
Brilliant.